We have 1, 2, 3. This is crazy. So this is one of those things, this hive is going to keep me really watching it closely. I'm glad we're doing it once a week. It's the male bee. He's getting loaded up to go out on a mating flight today. And if he's successful, he doesn't come back with any kind of awards, accolades, or anything. He doesn't come back at all. When a drone mates with a virgin queen, his endophallus breaks off and he falls to the ground dead. But he has quite a life after that point. Hey everybody, I'm David Burns. I'm pumped and excited. We're going to get back into the hive once a week. This is a follow along to see how this new package is doing. Now we're in week number 9, a little bit over 2 months. So those of you that started a new package this year, you can kind of see, how things are going with me and compare it to your hives. And last week I inspected it with Dr. John Zavishlak. We went through it. I'll leave a link at the end of this video for that video. And that was a fun video, but we put a super on it that day. So we've had a honey super on there for 1 week. And what I really got to do now is make sure my queen isn't up there. I don't use queen excluders normally. I wouldn't say never, but I don't like to use them because I feel like they become honey excluders. The worker bees may have a hard time going up through there. If I can, I'll just keep running my queen down, pick her up, push her down. We'll do that if she's up there. So watch this video for good tips on what to do there. If you're new to beekeeping and you just aren't going to want to pick up your queen, use a queen excluder. That's what you're going to do. Oh, before we get started though, I want to show you my tips on getting a smoker lit. So just bear with me. I know some of you are brand new to beekeeping and you've never seen me explain how to light a smoker. So what I do first is I light some smoker fuel like this. You might as well get real close for this, Patrick, I think. Yeah, there you go. These lighters, I like these lighters because look, it's a torch lighter. So if it's real windy, you can still light something. Ooh, that's hot. Don't burn yourself. If you see me jump, I burnt myself. Okay, so once you get that started, you can see that's our starter. Then I'm going to take some burlap that was already in there from last time, and I snuff out my smoker with a cork, and so that way I can save my burlap. I got a link to burlap in the description below. I really do like using burlap. And I just poke that in there like that. Get over here where I don't smell too bad like smoke. All beekeepers smell like smoke. If once you work out in the bee yard all day or for a while, you're going to get smoke on you. And now a lot of people will close up the smoker now, but we got to wait and let it get going a lot better. Also, make sure you have a grate down here that's keeping the smoker fuel off the bottom. They don't always come with it expanded out, so check that out. You want about 1 inch of grate off the bottom of your smoker. Otherwise, you're going to just snuff out the airflow down there. Now, if it's not catching up good, poke it down a little more. Get it closer to the fire. There's a lot of techniques people use to get their smoker going. Mine is just start a fire on the bottom, load from the top. Now you see all the fire coming out of it. Now we're ready to close the lid once we've got that much flame. But if you don't keep nursing them along, they could go out. So even while you're working your hive, you got to keep puffing them. Don't get distracted and get too carried away and forget to puff your smoke. All right. I try to work these hives over here in the morning before the sun comes, over the treetop level there, but I'm a little late even though it's kind of early. And if you watch my recent video, look at this. No Apple Watch. If I wear my Apple Watch, I always get stung. So take that sucker off. Working barehanded today until I can't. I made a comment that, I like working barehanded if I can. It kind of gives me a better feel for the bees and all. But I admit, if I really wanted to get a project done pretty quickly, then I'd rather wear gloves. Not that I would kill any bees or anything, but I just don't want to worry about getting stung, All right, so here's the super that we put on last week. So these frames were drawn out, left over from last year's honey crop. And so the bees are going to have a pretty good opportunity to keep putting a lot of honey or nectar in here now. So let's just see after a week what's going on. We're basically making sure our queen's not up here, because the queen loves to go up into supers, especially if they're newly drawn out frames. Ooh, the bees are working. Wow, that is all new nectar that they put on there since we added it about 6 or 7 days ago. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Bees are awesome. They have been working my clover in my yards and in the area. They've been working so diligently. Yeah, these are dried out completely. Let's look at a few more. That's going to be impressive. I'm going to leave this frame out. All right, let's get a little more smoke on there. Got some bees looking up at me. Some bees taking my picture and putting it on the post office wall so they can identify me in the future. Okay, look at this, same thing. For those of you that are new to beekeeping, what I'm trying to do is get these bees to put nectar up here, because if I get nectar up here before the queen gets up here, if she does come up here, she'll turn around and go back down because these aren't polished or prepared for her. So this is becoming a queen excluder when it gets filled with nectar for me. Now that's odd, because right there on that side, we already saw 2 frames with nectar in it, but I don't see much going on with this one. Look at that. Okay, well, a little bit, but not as much, is it? Not as much activity on either side. A little indentation there from something that happened in the last hive it was on. I don't remember. If bees want to correct that, they can and will. If they don't, they won't, and I don't care either way. All right, there we go. Not seeing our queen or any brood up here. That's what we want to avoid. So that's why you have to come back about a week later. See, the queen would love to lay right there. So we might find her. Stay tuned. Don't stop watching. You might get to see what David does if he finds a queen in his super. I kind of hope she's up here so you can see that. Now, some of you ask me, why is it darker right there in the middle? What is that? Is that a disease? What's happening? It's probably a stained, darker nectar that was put in here from last year's crop. I don't think that's a patch of brood, but it's probably just some darker honey. Or they could have put some propolis in there, kind of darkened her up a little bit. A little patch there as well. No sign of a queen. It is a hot day. I want to thank Patrick for filming today. A lot of you know Patrick. He's a loyal person to the channel, loyal to always be filming for you guys. I always say I'm working hard for you guys. Patrick's working hard for you guys too. I used to do this all by myself, so thank you, Patrick. That darker stain is visible again. No sign of a queen. This queen is marked with a letter U, a blue U on her that's fading. So if we did see that, we would be able to see her a little easier. Look at that. We're going to get lucky. We're not going to have a queen up here, are we? Not much here. None at all, actually. Okay, the next one. Notice this technique I'm using. You put the hive tool in like here. You keep your hive tool. You just barely go in the middle of your frames and you twist it. And then you go slowly across to avoid being stung, and do the same thing. But when you get over here, you don't want to do it this way because it's going to pull this that way. You want to twist it the opposite way to push that toward you. Like I know anything, right? Okay, well, they're starting to get excited over here on the edge. And this frame too, let's see what that looks like. A little heavier, got some nectar in here. Yeah, down at the bottom. And on this side. I'm proud that the blue queen is staying down, because she would love to come up here if she ran out of room, especially down there. Yeah, that darker honey from last year kind of stained, didn't it? Yeah. All right, that's good. Oh, this is cool. Look at this, Patrick. This is a box where someone accidentally cut the handle on the wrong side of the box. This probably doesn't have a handle on it, or it'd be a hole. And so we just used it. And so that's a handle on the inside of the box. And the bees, since there's no bee space that's being respected, the bees built comb right in there. Look at that. Huh. All right, so we have a frame here that we're going to put back in, and it really doesn't matter where because all these frames have this basically the same content on them. So we'll just stick it here. All right, once we get all those in there, what we want to do, pick that smoker up, puff it 10 times, keep her going, and then smoke across here. And I want to level these off, so I'm looking for about a 3/4 of an inch gap on each side, and that makes all the frames pretty tight in the middle. Yeah, it's about a 3/4 of an inch. And that way you don't run the risk of these combs being drawn out unevenly, one bigger than the other. It makes it better when you extract it if all your frames are equally able to take your knife and cut off the cappings. Yep, that's good. All right, let's take this super off and explore. Anytime you're doing a hive inspection, I do a lot of talks at clubs and conferences, and I give a talk about how we are citizen scientists, a lot like astronauts. We're exploring a distant planet. You know, you can't talk to the bees. They're wondering what you're doing. They think you're going to kill them. I mean, if aliens, or what do you call them? Yeah, I guess people from other planets came and they looked different than us and we couldn't communicate, we would fear that they were going to kill us. Even though in my case, I'm here to help my bees, but they don't know that. So they're going to defend their planet. That's got a little weight to it. I'm proud of that. That's going to get heavier with nectar. We're just going to take a look at some of the frames in here. This is like seeing how they're progressing. Again, this package of bees was installed 9 weeks ago. And I've been feeding them up until about maybe 10 days ago. And so they've been really expanding out drawn comb because I've been feeding them. So let's just take a look here. Get this first frame. I like to take the one closest to the wall. Lift it up gently. And you can see that they're starting to really draw that out. Really put a lot of nectar in there. We are in a heavy nectar flow here in Illinois. And for those of you that are kind of new, you can see little bits of pollen. I'll move my hand, but right in there you can see they're filling up some pollen in there as well. Probably clover pollen, looks like to me. And I'm going to point out some things too. I realize not everybody knows everything. There's a drone right there. Do you see him? Tip of my hive tool. He's the male bee. He's getting loaded up to go out on a mating flight today. And if he's successful, he doesn't come back with any kind of awards, accolades, or anything. He doesn't come back at all. When a drone mates with a virgin queen, his endophallus breaks off and he falls to the ground dead. But he has quite a life after that point. Yeah, he doesn't have to do any work in the hive. Everybody kind of feeds and takes care of him because they know that he's important to keep their queens mated, new virgin queens mated. So he's treated great until the fall, and then they run him out of the hive. Here's a frame we're trying to get pulled out. We kind of putting it in between two that are. It's working. They're drawing it out, putting nectar in the drawn part. Like I said, 9 weeks, this hive has gone from 10,000 bees to a whole bunch. I can't count them now, but Here's another frame we're trying to get drawn out. They're starting. I'm going to keep pulling these toward me. I'm going to go ahead and put my gap in there now. That way I don't have to reposition the frames. A little more smoke. Sometimes even I forget to smoke when the bees are so calm like this. I made a video a while back on how to deal with a real aggressive hot hive. And some of you were like, oh man, that thing is nothing like the defensive hive that I have. And I get it. I've got a few defensive hives. Okay. Let me check this. All right, I can do that. All right, we got good eggs down in the cells here. That's one of the things I'm always looking for. If I can see eggs, I really don't have to find my queen. I got brood, and look at that little babies emerging up here at the bottom of the brood area. There's 3 of them right there. And they're starting to work their way out and have a birthday. They're going to be 4th of July birthday babies, probably a little bit ahead of time. I think this is this the 3rd of July? Yeah, it's July 3rd today, so they might be 4th of July babies. Look at them. We could watch them all day, and it takes a bunch of them over here too emerging. Yeah. Those of you that love to watch this, that have never seen it, you think, why doesn't another bee just help pull them out? But they really don't. And sometimes after they emerge, they go right back in, like maybe that one, and start cleaning out their cell. Make your bed. Comb your hair and make your bed. And go clean out some more cells. But I want to fly. I want to reach for the sky. No, you're too young. So they have a lot of household duties they have to do until they get about 23 days old, and then they can finally fly. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Then they only live for about another, I don't know, 20 days after that, and they're dead from old age. Wow. This frame is heavy. Look at that great brood pattern. We love this hive and how the queen's doing. And at the top of the brood, you can see larvae and eggs. That means it's going really good. Good. You know, you got all stages of brood. You got eggs, larvae, and capped over pupae. So that's great. There's not much else we can do to this hive. Some of you are asking, well, that's my hive. What do I do next? Not much. You know, you got a good brood pattern. You got, look at all that white capped honey stored around the edges of the brood area. We did find some pollen down below last week, so they've got protein. Ooh, this one's really light. Look at that. Oh, wow. A lot of larvae. And if you're watching this video, you haven't seen the other ones, we keep monitoring these cells over here. There's never anything in them. I know when you see that, you want to panic. You should. You should say, what's going on? But anytime you have uneven comb like that, that can happen. They're there in case they need them. And here's one down here too. But if we open it up, oh, there was something in that one. Yeah, look at that. That is in the swarm position. I think that's a young larvae. So let's go ahead and just open these up. No, and no, and no, and no. I don't see anything. So, yeah, that's definitely a larvae down there in that cell. So what we're going to do is actually remove that so that they don't swarm, if that's what their intention is. Yeah. Just going to remove it with the tip of my hive tool there. Removing it doesn't really help at all because, you know, there's young larvae and eggs. They can quickly just do it again. But it will buy us a little time. So we'll have to keep an eye on this hive. Why did they do that? Are they wanting to swarm? It's a possibility. And it may make us look at a couple more frames up here. So this just means that we're going to have to inspect this hive every week now to make sure they don't swarm. What would you do to prevent a swarm? Well, if you catch it early enough, you could split it, but I hate to split this late in the season. I would just maybe try to make some, I'm going to be making some queens, so I may take some frames out of here to make up my starter nuke. Yeah, okay, so on this frame, let's look at this side first. Yeah, swarm cells down there too. Look at that. All right. We have 1, 2, 3. All right. So, yeah, 4. 1 up here. Nothing in that one. I'm wondering what this one looks like. Nothing in that one. But they're there. Nothing in those. All right, well, we have time. We have a super seeder cell looking cup over here. Nothing in that one. None. Yep. This is crazy. So this is one of those things, this hive is going to keep me really watching it closely. I'm glad we're doing it once a week. It's forcing me to come out here and make sure they don't swarm on me. Not drawn out with the cell. And that cell has nothing in it. I can see into it that way. So what we'll do is just continue on. Oh, by the way, I want to show you something. Look at this. I don't think that's sweat off of me. This is nectar that drips out. That's how nectar is about 80 to 90% water. Look at that. Yeah, I'm not sweating that much. And then they dry it down to make it honey. So yeah, what I was saying, I'm going to just keep watching this. Next week will be a good inspection because next week we got to make sure they're not swarming. We don't see swarm cells developing. And some of you are going to ask me, oh, okay, David, couldn't there be swarm cells more down in the bottom deep? Aren't you running the risk by not looking at the bottom? Maybe, but oftentimes you'll see it right there on the bottom of the top deeps. And so they do have some room to expand on some undrawn foundation. They do have that super on there. Fingers crossed, I'm not perfect. I can make mistakes, but I'm going to try to get one more week out of them. And next week we'll go through it more frame by frame and see what condition they're in and if they're getting ready to swarm. We don't want them to swarm this late. So that's the inspection, the 9th week inspection here. Let's put this one back over here. I often say put them back in the same order, but it doesn't matter as long as the frames, the contents are the same. Square it all up again like that, like we did our honey super. About 3/4 of an inch on each edge like that. See that little gap right here? I don't want to force it because look how fat that honey is right there. I'm just going to leave it sitting there. So when you pick up your super, if you got it sitting on a top cover, it's good to put your foot on it because the propolis may grab underneath there and stick it. Yeah, and then you can just keep that top cover down. Put our super back on. And then put our top cover on. All right, week number 9. That's fun inspection of the hive that we installed at the end of April from a package, and they're doing really good. And we're going to come back in there next week, take a look, do some swarm control. Hopefully they'll hang on till then. But if you want to watch the video last week where Dr. John Zavishlak and I actually inspected it, take a look at the video right here. I'll see you guys over there.